How's everybody doing? We're back with the breakdown. I'm Austin Johnson,
Andrew Covington.
and today we're gonna have basically a NBA pod. We're gonna rank our top 10 players in the league after the season just ended, since the finals just happened really last week. It feels like a
Yeah.
long time ago, but since the finals just ended, we're gonna do our end of the year rankings, and then hopefully Giannis will get traded during the pod,
Yeah.
so we can see how that goes. But a lot of big news. Trae Young just got an extension, and yeah, Drew, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. Being in Atlanta has been really exciting because we have World Cup games here. So, like, yesterday was a World Cup game. Lamine Yamal in Spain. I forgot who exactly they played, but they won. I saw Shady McCoy on their podcast. I forgot what it's called, but the one he has with Emmanuel Acho.
Speakeasy.
Oh yeah, the Speakeasy. I saw Emmanuel Acho say that Lamine Yamal is like the greatest. Like there's no comparison to like any American teenager in sports to what he's doing. And Shady McCord was like, "Oh yeah, but like that's low key disrespectful to Braun and stuff." No, it's not. I like it's funny because like it really does take a certain level of like knowledge about soccer to understand what Lamine is doing. Lamine at 16 won the Euros, as in the finals of European soccer. He won La Liga, which is one of the top leagues. He at yet won La Liga at 17, was the MVP of La Liga at 17, is going to either finish first or second in Ballon d'Or voting at 17. He scored a World Cup goal in 17, has a chance to win the World Cup at 17.
I would
Yeah,
say
it's
he's
it's
he's young. He's a young goat in training for sure. I can't I can't hate on that take. I mean, Braun was definitely really good, but he wasn't the best in the league when he started. He definitely needed time, and he's doing it at a younger age for sure. So that's not a crazy take, but because people don't watch soccer like that in America, at least,
yeah.
that's where people start to have that issue. Of course, they're going to bring up people like Braun, but I don't think that's a crazy take.
Yeah. But I think so far it's
And
just been really competitive.
it is. It's been fun. I just saw Mbappe scored.
Yep.
Messi had two goals earlier today. We could definitely talk about that a little bit. I know you're tapped in more than I am, but definitely the World Cup has been fun to watch. That's as someone who does like talk about sports and want to work in media and stuff like that. I should tap into soccer more, but definitely when the Euros are on and the World Cup, I'm overly tapped in,
Yeah.
very tapped.
They're very fun
So
times.
definitely. I wish Chicago had a World Cup game. There's no reason why Kansas City has it and we don't. That's some BS. But do you want to go into our top 10 players?
Yes, yes, yes. So obviously, we are ranking our top 10 players. I have like a specific like mythology or belief when it comes to these rankings. My criteria, I guess. I'm trying to I'm counting for regular season stats and accolades, postseason stats and accolades, advanced stats, which are my favorite. Specific postseason performances if you made the postseason, team success, and past performances and circumstances. Right. So that's usually that's what I'm looking at. When it comes to my top 10. So in light of that, at my 10 spot is the King of New York, Jalen Brunson. He to be honest, to be frank, I was very reluctant to put him at the 10th spot. Honestly, if the Knicks did not make the finals, I would probably Kawhi Leonard would probably be at my 10th spot. Kawhi Leonard had a fantastic season. He was All NBA second team. It was one of the healthiest seasons he's had, and statistically, his best season as a player. And so,
Facts.
and so, I thought he was going to be my 10th spot. And also, just again, I don't, there's a talent disparity there with Brunson when it comes to other guards such as Curry and Cade. Cade is obviously a better playmaker, a better defender, and obviously Steph Curry, even at his age, is still Steph Curry. So all of those things. But man, oh man, being the best closer in basketball and being a number one option on a championship team means something. It should mean something. And so, yeah, man, what Brunson did in this playoffs, he led the league in playoff points per game. Obviously, we saw every series he played, he had a clutch performance. Obviously, he had one of the greatest closeout performances of all time, up there with Giannis's 50 ball, in which he scored 45 of New York's 94 points. Um, it is truly impressive what he did at his size. He's only 6'2", and being able to be that crafty, that tenacious when it comes to scoring is so impressive, man. I think although although he lacks maybe in terms of talent compared to other guys, again, like there's no other guy in sports right in basketball right now who you'd rather want on your team to close a game than him. There's no one. And he proved that time in and time out that whenever New York asked him, whether he was shooting inefficiently, whether he was just not having that great of a game, whenever New York asked him, yo, we need you, he was there. He was ready and able. Again, that game against, and we can talk about the finals game, the game 5 against the Spurs, but that game against Cleveland, game 1 against Cleveland, in which he absolutely took over the fourth quarter, made James Harden look so pedestrian. And then obviously in overtime got his team the W. Like there's no other player in the league that does what he does when it comes to crunch time right now. And obviously he was all NBA second team. He's an all-star. He averaged 26 points per game in the regular season. He is one of the best guards in basketball. And I think what makes him a top 10 at my 10 spot is the fact that he's the best closer in basketball. He's the Finals MVP and he's a champion. Again, why he's not higher? Again, there are guys on this list who are objectively just that much more talented and who have accomplished that much more. But he's still the king of New York. I have to respect that. Man. I have to.
You do. You do. And I, for my 10 spot, I do have Cade Cunningham at 10.
Okay.
I do
Okay.
think, I think just because of how he performed in these playoffs and over the course of the season. Now, do I think Cade is a more talented player? Yes, I do agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to take production into account. We saw him score half the points in the closeout game.
Yeah.
He made sure that they were going to win that game no matter what. He had 45, averaged 33 in the finals. He was going to get them shots up regardless. So I have him over Cade. Now, Cade Cunningham could definitely move higher. I think he has a very bright future, especially if they get a second scorer. Hopefully they get like Trey Murphy or something like that. I think the Pistons would be fine. But a lot of the times the scoring load was on Cade, which is why the Pistons lost. And I think if you put them both in that situation, they might not they might not win as much. But I know Jalen Brunson and games where they're like, we need you to score, he's gonna go and score.
Yeah.
And Cade did that a lot, but I do think there were multiple games and multiple series for that matter where they were the better team, but yet they still were like the Magic series, for instance.
Yeah.
There's no way that series should have gone 7. Now, that's not his fault. I think the Pistons as a team were not as good as they are, and that's a testament to how good Cade is. But when it was time for him to sometimes be the main guy to score, especially in Game 7 against the Cavs, if there was if he didn't score, they didn't go. And I will respect that as far as how much of a responsibility and how good of a player he was. But when Jalen Brunson, it was time for him, like we need a bucket and nobody else was doing it. He came and rose to the
Yep.
occasion every time, no matter what. Even if the shot wasn't falling, he was going to get his 30 ball. And so that's why, I mean, since he's at 9 for me, so like it's not like I have him much higher. I
Okay.
have him at 9.
Okay.
So we've seen him now, Jalen Brunson, perform in the playoffs and multiple times, and now perform in the finals as well. I got to give him the nod over Cade. I've never seen him play in the conference finals. I do, like I said, I do think he's more talented.
Yeah.
However, I think that Jalen Brunson, what he did this year, he deserves to not be last out of the 10.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think just to I Cade, I'm gonna drop an article this week. Cade is in my honorable mention section. I think he's obviously fantastic. I think he is. I think what he does on the offensive end is really special, and then obviously he's also a pretty solid defender as a guard. So, but I just again I do desire a little bit more, and maybe we see that once they get another scoring option on this team. But shout out Cade, great player. My 9 spot goes to a guy who a lot of people will probably not think should be in the top 10 um, because of his availability, but I don't care, to be frank. Joel Embiid has my 9 spot. Joel Embiid is my ninth best player in basketball. I still think he's top 10. Joel Embiid hasn't played at least 65 games in an NBA regular season in 3 years. I'm not ignoring that, which is why he's actually at 9. If he was playing, bro, he'd be top 5. Let's be clear.
Top five.
But what he did in that Boston series really moved me. I'm like it really moved me, man. I don't know, man. Like he wasn't supposed to play. He literally wasn't supposed to play. Going into that series, the Sixers announced Joel Embiid is not playing. He's not going to step foot on the court. He comes on the court, game 4, drops 26, I think, and but they lose the game. 76ers lose the game, and they're down 3-1. Everyone's like, yo, they need to move off of Embiid. It's time. Even, he messed up the whole flow of the team. It's time. They got to commit to Tyrese Maxey, who's an all-star. VJ Edgecombe, who is probably going to be an all-star. You know what I'm saying? And then Joel Embiid carries this team to the second round. Puts the team on his back as if he's not coming back from injury. As if he's basically limping on every other play. Puts his team on the back. I feel as if because Joel Embiid's, availability issues, right? We forget that this guy is probably or is in the conversation for being the most talented offensive big the league has ever seen. He's an
Very true.
MVP. He was in Jokic conversations, and he would still be in Jokic conversations if he didn't have these availability problems. And you got some Jokic fans trying to put him in the top 15 all time. That's how good Joel Embiid at his complete powers is. And
Yes. And that's not, it's a surprise that you said that, but it's not crazy.
mhm,
Just because I do think talent wise, he's in the top 10. Besides that Celtics series, I haven't seen it, which is why I didn't put him in there. And so a lot of the times when he plays, he's not 100%. And
yeah,
so you could say injuries are definitely, we hate them. But I can't put him in my top 10 just because of how he's not available. And sometimes when he does play, the production is not there. It was against Boston. It was. And you do got to respect that. They came back from a 3-1 lead. It was a great performance. And I will say it did move me. It did make me like Joel again. Because I think in the last couple of years, you low-key forgot about him. Like,
yeah.
he hadn't been really doing anything. He'd always been sidelined in some capacity. So I'm interested to see what happens, what they do in this offseason, like tomorrow in the draft. So it's not a crazy take. I don't have him in there, but
Yeah.
at his full powers and fully healthy, yes. I just like there are certain guys I have in here that are when they're fully healthy, they're in my top 10.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been 3 years since then. That's when it's like, all right, we kind of got to pump the brakes a little
And
bit.
I hear that. I hear that. I hear that. And again, this is why he's at 9. Like I am considering injury. And I do consider injury when it comes to my top 10. Like injury was really important when I came to Giannis's placement compared to other guys. But again, and don't get me wrong, I have my concerns about Embiid currently. I think defensively, I worry that he's lost a step. I think I have just worries about how much great play he has left in him, considering that he's 32. I like these are genuine concerns of mine, and I do think about these things. But what I saw in that Boston series And yeah, he didn't play that well and against the Knicks. I do recognize that. Um, but when I saw in that Boston series, man, I was like, wait, he still got it. The process is still there. I don't think it's time to move off him just yet. Just yet. I think he still might have a lot to offer this team and a lot to offer this league. So that's why he's at my 9 spot, man.
Yes, I agree. Only problem with that is you say the process has a lot left to offer. From a talent perspective, yes. But can he stay healthy?
I don't know.
And that's the issue. And like that's where it's like I don't know. Like I know there are a couple expansion teams coming in the future.
Yes.
I think Joel Embiid would be a top pick to get drafted by one of those teams, just because the Sixers want to move off his contract, not because of the talent, but you're paying him a lot of money to not play, and that's the problem where the Sixers are. And he's really Joel Embiid is the Dak Prescott of the NBA. He really is.
And Dak
Because
Prescott, the
just
top
like
10 quarterback.
he is 100%. Like Dak gets a lot of slander because he's a Cowboys quarterback, but
Mhm.
Dak is actually a damn good quarterback.
Hooper.
So I'm not gonna, and it's hilarious when the Cowboys lose, but Dak will sling will sling the ball. And in the same way, it's like with Joel Embiid. When he's healthy, when he's on the court, 100, well, I feel like he's never 100%, but when he's at his best, he is a very, very good player. But time and time again, whether that's on him not being there or whether that's because the team around him isn't as good, neither of them have been to their conference championships. That's why I say they're very similar. So I do think Joel is a top 10 talent in the league when healthy. It's just how long is he able to actually use those talents? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
is he going to be there? And that's where I I used to like that year when Jokic won MVP, well, when Embiid won MVP, I said he was better than Jokic and he deserved it. So I still rock with Joel Embiid heavy, but it's like you gotta kind of you have to give me something. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Besides the Boston series, because he did give me something there. So respect to Joel Embiid. You want to go your 8 or mine?
Oh yeah, because you already said that your 9 was Brunson. I can go with my 8 is Jaylen Brown, currently at Boston Celtic. We'll see what happens in the next 24 hours.
Probably
Um,
not a Boston
Probably
Celtic
not a
in the
Boston
next
Celtic.
24 hours.
Um, I was really impressed by Bro this season. I think yeah, I was really impressed. I think obviously going into this season, we knew that this would be a Jason Tatumless Celtics team. So again, a lot of people just thought, yo, this team would be a playing team. This year's probably just like a reset or whatever. But due to the brilliance of Joe Mazzulla and the talent of Jaylen Brown, this team got to be the second seed. Um, he's really good at basketball. I don't really know what to say. I think he averaged 28 points per game. He was, consistently this team's best scorer, one of the team's best defenders. Um, yeah, he was fantastic this in the regular season. Fantastic, objectively. I will say when it came to his postseason performance,
It was okay.
it was okay. You know what I'm saying? It was okay. It was okay. I think for me, a lot of people, some people close to me, would like to claim that Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum. A lot of people, some people would like to claim that.
Not crazy.
Now, my opinion on that is, and I'll probably revisit that, some point during this top 10 list. Jaylen Brown is a more consistent player. That's not my argument there.
That is true.
But
He is more consistent.
at what facet of basketball is Jaylen Brown better than Jason Tatum at? In my opinion,
Uh,
there is none. There is none. Jaylen Brown is not more talented scorer. He's not a better scorer. He's not a better passer. He's not a better rebounder. He's not even a better defender. Don't get me wrong. Jaylen Brown is a great defender. Jason Tatum is a better defender. I think we've seen Jason Tatum lock up the likes of KD in a series. you know.
Yeah,
So all that being said, um, I think Jaylen Brown is fantastic, and I think that wherever he goes, whether he stays in Boston or goes to, the Bucks, which is hell, basically, I think that he's going to put up great numbers. I think he's going to show that, hey, I do think that he proved this season that he can be the number one option on a contending team. I think he proved that for anyone who was
yeah,
doubting that.
100%.
But when it came to the highs that I get from other players that who are in the top five or who are near the top five, specifically in the playoffs, he didn't give me that. I've seen the likes of Tatum, of Luka, of Anthony Edwards give me these highs of like, man, you're not just good. You're not just a guy who the number one guy on a contending team. You can be the guy. I haven't
Yeah,
seen Brown give me that yet. Um,
I agree
but
with that. I
but yeah,
think he he's my honorable mention. I think he's
he didn't make it,
he's
Jay.
right on the edge. Now, for people who say that Tatum, I mean Jalen Brown is better than Jason Tatum, I was one of those people where I agree. He's definitely more consistent. And if you want to say out of just this year alone, is he a top 10 player? Yes. Now I'm factoring in other people who were either hurt or didn't play. So yes, in the year of 2025 to 2026 for that season, is he a top 10 player? Yes. But obviously there were circumstances where he got more opportunity to kill. And I already knew that.
Yeah,
I think there are a lot of players. There's probably at least 20 to 30 players where if you give them a team where the number one option is hurt, then they have the opportunity to just have the ultimate green light, take as many shots as they want. They can produce. Now, Jaylen Brown was an MVP candidate. So again, this year he was a top 10 player in the league. Why I don't have him in my top 10 is because when fully healthy, I do think Jason Tatum is better. Even though Jason Tatum does settle a lot,
yeah.
he doesn't go to the cup. I do think there's a higher peak that you can get from Jason Tatum. And I think that he just has a higher ceiling. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just think he's on my honorable mention now. I
Fair,
have him
fair,
with
fair.
Kawhi. I have him with Kawhi right here. I was definitely debating putting him in, but he had a great season.
Yeah,
So no knock on Jalen Brunson. I think if he gets traded to Milwaukee, I feel like he's not even going to play with Milwaukee. I feel like he would try and leave. But
we'll see.
either way, in whatever situation he goes, he's going to kill. He's definitely get his near 30, if not 30. But I don't have him in my top 10. I feel like guys fully healthy, there are a few that are just better.
Then who's your eight, Austin? Who's your eight?
My eight is Stephen Curry.
Wow.
I'm
Okay.
fully healthy. I still have Stephen Curry. I can't put I definitely thought about putting someone like Kevin Durant on the list, but like he's old, so like I can't do that. But Steph, when he plays, like and he's fully healthy, that I would still take him as a top. He's definitely a top five point guard in the league
Of course.
at worst. And so I think that's definitely somebody that is always a threat on offense, regardless of how old he is. And compared to like LeBron, KD, and him, he's the youngest. So I think let's say he gets traded or let's say he's not the number one option on a team, I still think that he would be a very, very good piece on a championship team and be a key contributor.
Hmm.
So, I mean, even in a year where he didn't play that much, he was still getting 27 a game
Yeah.
on a Warriors team where everybody knew because Jimmy was hurt. Everybody knew he was getting the ball.
Yeah.
Everybody knew he was going to take all the shots. It didn't matter. And at that age, I still got to respect it. So, like, there are a couple guys on here. I have three. When they're fully healthy, I still have them as top 10 players.
Yeah.
Now, maybe you did your list based on like just the season as a whole and said this year, these are the best players. But my eight, just because I know what I've seen and I know what he can still do, I got him at eight.
No, I have context to some of these guys. Like again, Joel Embiid, obviously not that healthy. You know what I'm saying? He's in my top 10, and there's going to be two other guys specifically that are in my top 10 who are not very healthy this season, yet they're still in my top 10. So I do incorporate like context with this with that. Curry is in my honorable mentions. spoiler alert, the big three are all my honorable mentions.
Yeah,
They're all still, I would say, top 20 players in basketball. But
I
due
agree.
due to their age, and also just there's a lot of young talent in this league. A lot of guys who can do a lot of different things, and who either are about to hit their primes or are actively in it. I do take those guys. So Curry, I understand. I think out of all of the big three currently, I do think Curry is the best. I think
I do too.
hands down he is the best. So shout out to Curry. I still think that man, he is an offensive engine by himself. And that means a lot in this league. So I understand that. I understand why you have him as your eight. Shout out to Steph Curry, man. Look at Curry, man. So inspirational.
Very
Um,
inspirational.
my seven is Anthony Edwards. If again, I will one day write that article. I don't know when, but I will one day write that article about me being wrong about Anthony Edwards. I used to think that like his ceiling would not be a top five player in basketball. I used to
Really?
think, you know, just the way he came in the league, he was kind of really like explosive running duck man. And I think obviously that turned heads as it should be. His athleticism is like guys that we haven't seen before. There's a reason why he's compared to guys like Jordan because we've only seen it in guys like Jordan, like D Wade, like that level of athleticism at that young of an age. But if you were to tell me again just 3 years ago, hey, by the way, he'd become a 50, 40, 90 guy, I would be shocked. I'd laugh in your face. He is probably one. If someone looked at me and said Anthony Edwards is the best scorer in basketball, I'd say I don't agree with you, but I completely get it. He is that good of a scorer. He is that fantastic of a scorer, man. Like he averaged like 28 points, 49% from the field, 40% from three, and what was it? I think 80% from the free throw line. He is so fantastic. And what's the difference between his level of scoring and a guy like Shea is that he has a level of athleticism that he can rely on as well. And although his numbers during this playoff weren't the greatest, I do attribute that to injury. I don't think
Yeah,
that would. I don't
100%.
don't think that would have changed the result of the Timberwolves series against San Antonio, but I know that Ant would have put up better numbers. I mean, we saw him go off for 40, I think it was in game two or three when Wemby went out after killing Nas Reed. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like he is one of those guys, man. He is one of those ones. He is the number one option on what could one day be a championship team if the Timberwolves move the right pieces and get the right guys. He is that one of those dudes, and he's not even in his prime yet. We're almost there. We're almost there. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. We're almost there. We're getting close to times where it's like, okay, make or break. You have to do something. But man, oh man, you are this good now today, man. I think a lot of people are going to talk about a lot of different guys being the face of the league, and I think that Wemby obviously is. But I think when it comes to a rivalry that we'll see in this league between two faces that are that great, I do think it's Wemby and Ant. I think he is that good. I think he has the talent for it. Obviously, he's a media darling, you know, but like, yeah, he's my seven. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that he's the best American player in the league yet. There is one guy that's literally a spot ahead of him that I think is still the best American player in basketball. But in a year, that will probably change. He is one of those guys.
I had him at the same spot. I had him. It was between him and Jason Tatum,
Yeah,
and I think for me, just what Tatum has done, even this year when he wasn't fully healthy, Jason Tatum was still very productive,
yeah,
coming off of a torn Achilles. And we've seen Jason Tatum like fully healthy get you 30 a game
yeah.
or almost very close to it and consistently do that. So I would say Ant, he's very close. I'm not gonna put him. I almost did. I almost did have him above Tatum, but the reason why I'll take Jason Tatum, like I said, that ceiling, especially like, and it's hard. It's definitely hard because I originally had Ant above him
Hmm.
only because Ant has never been in a situation where like Jason Tatum, like for instance, rookie year, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals,
Yeah.
and Kyrie was hurt. They still took them to seven. And unless Bron played like really the greatest player ever, I think
Yeah.
they're they would have been in the finals his rookie year. So Jason Tatum has never been in a situation where like the Celtics have sucked, like they've been bad, or like there's a
Yeah.
bad supporting cast around him. Where Ant, on the other hand, they were almost too good too fast. Like
Mm.
there was never a time where they were bad. So I think for me, I always believed that Ant was going to be really good. Now, I didn't think his jumper was going to get this good this fast,
Yeah.
but I felt like there were flashes of Dwayne Wade, in my opinion,
Mm.
and we've seen that time and time again. Like he's at worst, his athleticism can get him 20,
Yeah.
and you've seen though he's not trying to rely on that, and that improvement is going to lead to better. It's going to lead to a lot of better things in the future. And you got to think about it like this. You have Jaden McDaniels,
Hmm.
Julius Randle, and am I missing somebody? Nas Reed is good, but he's not a starter. Out of the starters on Minnesota, he has nobody he can really just kick out to, and it's like
Yeah.
they're gonna just cash a three. Whereas Boston, their play style kind of they built the team around that play style where if Jason Tatum drives and kicks, there's usually a guy there that he can make their shots. So a lot of the pressure is on Ant
Yeah.
to just be the main facilitator and be the main offense. Even and obviously you know Rudy as a big man,
Yeah.
he's not providing you really anything in offense. Either put the ball up or he's got to swing it.
Hmm.
So I think as far as an offensive player, I think Anthony Edwards is very close to he's very close to Jason Tatum. I think he will be better. And if the team around him was better, I think his stats would look even better. I think because of the way they kind of, especially when they had Cat, it was a little bit better
Hmm.
because they could space the floor a little bit more. The way they play it now, like, is very hard. And when DiVincenzo got hurt, it was
Yeah.
like, and go kill. Jaden McDaniels try to get a bucket, and he's not an ISO scorer. So everything was put on Ant with a clogged paint, and he still performed, got a 30-point game after being hurt, missing games in the first round, and beating Denver, which I'm very glad they beat Denver. I wanted to see them lose. So he has a bright future. Already two conference finals appearances, and he was the main catalyst of that. And yeah, I think he could be as high as six, maybe even a shade above there, but he's at my seven. Out of respect for Tatum, coming off an injury, and then just how he performed in the past and in the playoffs, we've seen time and time again actually rises to the occasion very well. And I'm assuming he's your number six.
Yes. Jason Tatum is my number six. Yeah, I think
Mine
he's the
as
best.
well.
Yeah, I think he's the best American player in the league. Simple as that. I think Ant is a better scorer at this point. I do believe that. However, I
I
think
believe that too.
Tatum. I think what was it? I think it was 2024 in which it was when what was it? The Timberwolves beat Denver, right? They beat Denver and they made it to the conference finals and they played the
Yeah,
Mavs, right? And
yeah,
obviously, what is it? Ant went up there and said, "I want to guard Kyrie." You know what I'm saying? And obviously that didn't work out for him. But
boy
I
got torched.
I think since then, a lot of people have looked at Ant as a two-way guard. He's not. He's not a two-way guard. And don't get me wrong, I don't think he's a bad defender. I think he shows a lot of effort on defense, which is the difference between him and a lot of different guards. Like, right. But I don't think he's that good of a defender. I think he can hold his own, obviously. I think he has a level of, again, athleticism that he can rely on. But I don't think he's that good of a defender. Who is a really good defender? Jason Tatum. I do think that's kind of the difference there. I think obviously Tatum is as well one of the best playoff performers in basketball. Don't get me wrong, he settles a lot. Yeah, he does settle a lot.
He's
But
gonna get that 30 though.
he's gonna get that 30, and it might be 12 of like 30, but he's gonna get there. And yeah, he's one of the most impressive playoff performers in basketball. He is what he can do as a scorer, whether it's in the 3 point, which he over relies on, but in the 3 point, mid range as well, getting to the basket. He is one of one, and obviously he's a guy that can lock up or play great defense on your best player. He is that good. I and although you know he played very little this season, obviously came back against the came back in a series against 76ers, or we came back before that, but against 76ers, I like the production that I saw from him. Obviously he had one of those games in which you're like, well, that is Jason Tatum. But also, honestly, his efficiency when it came to scoring was higher than usual. He averaged 10 rebounds and more assists than ever. I think obviously he's also a really solid playmaker as well. Man, like I still think when come October, we're going to get Jason Tatum back. Not just post ACL Jason Tatum, but I think we're going to get Jason Tatum back. I think that's what the production I saw the production I saw during the end of the season that moves me. So yeah, I think Jason Tatum is still the best American player in basketball, and one of one. Shout out to bro. Shout out to the
Uh,
anomaly.
yeah, I think he's still a very good player. And I think definitely in the playoffs, when it's time like for him to play and make something happen, he can. And it definitely was a hard decision. I will say, as far as a defender, I think Ant is better than what people. Well, some people say he's in the middle. Like
Mm,
you said, he's not that great. Some people borderline say he's all NBA, all defense.
yeah.
He's in somewhere in the middle because I do think because you have a guy like Rudy Gobert on your team that kind of highlights his impact on defense more than anybody else because
Mm,
it's really all he's there to do. So I do think that Ant is a good defender, but especially in the West is very guard heavy and has a lot of talented guards.
yeah.
A guy like Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, Shea, they're going to get their 30 or very close to it. So I think as far as like our good big men, there are less skilled big men in the league, especially when you're talking about in the West. Besides Jokic, besides Wemby, if you're playing OKC, Hartenstein is going to give you some floaters, but
Yeah.
he's not gonna give you 30. So I think that definitely has an effect. But very good player all around. I still understand why people would say Jaylen Brown is better, but for the Celtics moving forward, you have to keep Jason Tatum. That's the highest ceiling all around. You can't like, and I like Jaylen Brown a lot, but you have to keep Jason Tatum. That's a cornerstone of your franchise. When it's playoff time, he performs most of the time. There'll definitely be some stinkers linked in there, but like when it's a game seven, like that series against Philly, where when they had Harden, that was the Joel Embiid MVP year. That was that was when I really respected Jason Tatum because it was like no matter what, he was trash in game six. He had only made one shot until the fourth quarter.
Oh
Fourth
yeah.
quarter came, he hit like five or six threes. Game seven, he got 50. And like stuff like that. And it was the same thing against the Bucks. Was that
Oh
2023
nah,
or
yeah. I
2022?
think you're right. I
There was
forgot
another,
what
I
this
think,
year
game
was.
seven, and he had like 40. He was
Yeah.
like when it comes time to play, like he's there. And I think he'll definitely the way he came back this past year, he I'm not worried about his production next year. And off the small sample size we had, I will say we're not letting that slide for them blowing a 3-1 lead against Philly though. That was really bad.
Okay.
I don't care that he didn't play in the last game.
I
You need
do.
to wrap that up, especially when Joel Embiid played half the series. That was still unacceptable. He does settle too much. But imagine if he did it. Like he was still getting 30 and he takes too many shots. Imagine if he just goes to the rim a little bit more.
Yeah.
He's a scary player. I think at his peak, he has top three. I'm not gonna say top one. At his ceiling, he has top three potential still.
Mm.
But it's definitely with guys like Jokic and Wemby in the way SGA performed. It's definitely hard to say that, but at his peak, you could see it. Like it's not a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, I think just it's interesting to see how specific players in the top five will develop over time, specifically because of their age, at least in my top five. So there might be room for Tatum to make his way to that top three spot. We'll see. But yeah, my now we're into the top five. Top five. My five position is the man of the hour. Literally, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think it's pretty simple. Um, he's one of the best players in basketball. He's the best power forward in the league, and he will go down as one of the greatest power forwards of all time.
Facts.
Yeah, he's that good.
I'm not surprised you put him over Wemby though. I'm not surprised by that.
As in, I put Wemby over, bro, because I haven't said Wemby's
Yeah,
name.
I said I'm not surprised by that.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's one of those dudes, man. A lot of people called him running duck man for the first few years of his career. But running duck man can get stuff done. He has one of the greatest, arguably the greatest closeout, finals closeout performance of all time. He is, um, one of the greatest defenders of all time. He has two DPOIs. Um, yeah, he's one of one. Not really much to say about him as a player. I will say I'm happy with the way his mid range shot has developed. I think it's a great thing for him to lean back on. I think and the reason why he's not higher in the top five is because of injury and availability and his age. I do worry about specifically what Giannis can do on the defensive end due to his age. I don't think he can anchor a defense at his age anymore. I don't think this is a guy that can lead a top five or top five defense in basketball like he used to. Um, and maybe that'll be factored in to whatever team he's traded to because I'm really tired of this trade saga thing. I think it's
Let me
please.
check my phone, matter of fact.
I've been checking
Hopefully
my
they
phone the
trade.
entire time. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. But
Nah,
fingers crossed. But yeah, I he's really great. He's really great. If he was fully healthy, he'd probably be at my four position, over the guy who I have at my four position. Um, but yeah, man, he is incredible. He is a Hall of Famer. He is one of those ones. Cool guy.
I agree. Now, I will say I have Wemby at my five.
Mm,
Now, potential wise, he could be as high as number one, number two. Reason why I have him at number five though, because as at his floor, he is the best defensive player in the league.
correct.
But because we watched in the finals, when it is crunch time and you need a bucket and you give him the ball, he does not have a go-to move to go get a bucket. And we watched that happen 5 games in a row. And that's my issue. Now, can he fix that in a year? 100%. He needs that LaMarcus Aldridge training. But he's still very good. And I'll just say I have Giannis on my four, so
Okay.
we can go to your four after this. I have Giannis on my four just because when fully healthy, that's 30 and 12,
Yep.
stamped. And like
Yep.
he is also still one of the best defensive players in the league. Now health is still a factor, but I also think he didn't want to play in Milwaukee. And just so I don't have my facts wrong, even when he didn't want to play in Milwaukee, he was getting 28 and 10.
Yep.
Like, on 62% field goal percentage. Now, of course, he's not shooting jumpers, but that's still crazy. So, like, I think wherever he goes, especially a place like Boston, I feel like the production is going to be, well, that's still going to be a weird dynamic.
Yeah, we'll
But I
see.
still feel like the production will be on the same, if not better, just because he's actually trying and wants to win. He knew he couldn't win in Milwaukee. And yeah, he was hurt, but regardless, his worst season in the last 5 years is 28 and 10.
Yeah.
And I know that even if I need a bucket at the end of the game, somehow he gets to the rim. Or they did have a closer.
Yeah.
And I think just as far as Giannis as a player, that he's definitely one of one. And really, he's top 20 all time. You could even say 15 if you really want to argue it, but I'd have to really go down the list. But Wemby, great third season. took them, led them to the finals. And really, my only problem with him is, like I said, if they need a bucket and they need somebody to score, it wasn't him. Like that was really it. And but now, still, I gotta say, stop saying but now. But when there was like a bad game from him, like game one, that was technically a bad game from him. It
Yep.
was still 26 and 12. So like the production for him is always going to be there and will only get better. So I think by like it's 2026, 2 years from now, you could definitely say, I bet people will say he's the best player in the league. People are already trying to say that. So I know he's going to be even better in the future. So the list is fluid. For right now, I got him at five. Best defensive player in the league, unanimous. I just think offensively, he was exposed is definitely the wrong word, but it was definitely shown
Mm.
that there are ways to guard him. And just like Giannis, especially when they lost that series to Toronto in the past, there are ways to guard him. And he overcame that. He won a chip, and you saw him after that. It really wasn't that walling him up really didn't work. He was still going to get his. And I know that's going to happen with Wemby as well. So just in due time.
Yeah, I'll get to Wemby eventually. You know, don't on this list, but I hear that. I hear that. I again, you know, my concerns are my concerns, but like Giannis being higher or like than like, you know, you can argue that he's the third best player in basketball. You know, like I think that like he's that good when healthy, and we're not that far removed from a healthy Giannis season. This isn't a Joel
Yeah.
Embiid case in which like, you know, it's just like a foreign concept at this point. No, like this is we're not that far away. So yeah, my four spot is one of my favorite players in the league, one of my guys, Luka Doncic. Um, uh, you know, I love this guy. I don't know what to say. I think ever since he got into the league, I've been enamored with him as a player. I think he is. I think it's really simple. He's one of the best scorers in the league. He's one of the best playmakers in the league. He is an offensive engine, and if he and don't get me wrong, I don't think him being healthy would have magically changed the OKC series, but
I think they would have won one or two games,
maybe
at
one.
most two.
Maybe one. But he led the league in scoring. If he doesn't get injured, the Lakers probably get the third seed. Um, he's that good. Again, every year since his rookie season in which he's been healthy, he's been All NBA first team because he is that good. Yes, defensively, he is a cone. Just to be frank, I don't care. I don't
Me
care at
neither.
this point. Like 33, 9 and 9, day in and day out. 33, 9 and 9. You can bet
You
your
gotta
mother's
respect it,
life on
though.
it. It's
You gotta
simple.
respect it.
It's simple, bro. Don't get me wrong, man. We're it's time. The clock is ticking. I can't lie. He's in his prime. You have to make something shake. An MVP, a ring, something, something. Hey, Rob Palenka, I might have to have words with you. There might have to be a serious conversation about building around this guy. And the thing is, it's been proven. I do think you can build a championship team around Luka. He's done it. He took a team in the Western Conference in every series. They weren't favored. He took them to the finals.
I like to say that I thought they could have made the finals before the playoffs started. I was glad I was vindicated by him. That's what I really was like. Luka's one of my favorite players.
Bro, and the thing is, again, every series they played, they were not favored. They weren't favored against the Clippers. They weren't favored against an inexperienced OKC team. They were not favored against obviously the Timberwolves, who just came off being the champions. They weren't favored, and he walked every single one of those teams down. He is
Facts.
that good. And do I have concerns about him plateauing as a player? I do. I will say that this is statistically one of his best seasons. However, I would say his season in 2024 is better because of the efficiency. He was more efficient in 2024. I do have health concerns on some level, but not really. Like he gets through regular seasons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't really have that. Do I care about his weight? No. Do I care about his fitness? No, I don't, because I've seen him carry a team to the finals. So I don't care about that. Stop disrespecting Luka Doncic. He was an MVP candidate for a reason. He would have got his team to the third seed if he didn't get injured. He's one of those ones. He's one of those guys. Period. My
Facts,
four.
facts, all facts. And he's my three.
Okay.
He's my three. And so I gotta my top five, like I said, is Wemby, Giannis, and Luka's my third. Why I put Luka third? Like you just said, man, he led the league in scoring, and we just watched. As we've said on many occasions, Shea is currently having one of the best peaks in basketball,
Yes.
and yet Luka outscored him. And you could argue, at worst, he's the third best passer in the league. So like he's going to get your team if he's getting 33 points and has 9 assists. Again, at worst, he's getting at least 50 points for your team. So like I don't care about the defense. Yes, it is terrible, putrid if you want to say that. Very bad. But on the offensive end, he can do whatever he wants. He can make any type of pass, make any shot. And we've seen it time and time again where the teams around him haven't been that great. And I will say the Lakers are he's in a rough spot because the best team the Mavs put around him was obviously after the deadline. And that year in 2024, and they ended up making the championship. They didn't do anything after they traded him the year after that.
Yep.
And I still think that was a good team around him. So like people say, oh, you need to win a championship, you need to win MVP. They ran into a very, very good Celtics team. That was out of the last 10 years, that's one of the best championship teams. I think top five.
Yep.
Then you go to the Lakers where, yes, him and Austin Reeves are a good duo. And with LeBron, it's a good team. They've won 50 games the last 2 years.
Yep.
However, LeBron is 40 and he wants too much money. In a perfect world, the Lakers should trade LeBron. They're not going to because it's LeBron.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you have to wait on LeBron to make his decision and figure out what's going on, which is why Rob Pelinka and kind of Luka are in this bind of like, do we build a team around him? This is our future. Do we pay Austin Reeves? But also, it's like you can't just let LeBron go.
Yeah.
You kind of just have to let him ride into the sunset. So you saw this year, 33 points, 9 assists, 9 rebounds. That was a 33-point triple double, basically. And it not one MVP vote. I do think Shea should have won. You could argue Jokic, you could argue Wemby, but not one man. That was crazy. And I know record and team success obviously play a big factor into that.
Yes.
But they had a very, very good season. JJ Redick was the first coach to win 50 plus games since Phil Jackson, bro.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't like this was a regular season by any stretch. And I think that there's been a lot of disrespect on Luka as
Yes.
far as just around him. And we gotta really witness what we're watching, like understand what we're watching. This is still a top offensive talent ever.
Yeah.
And I just hope he has the accolades to back it up. Even if he doesn't, I would still put
Yeah.
him very in conversations that like I love Chris Paul. People say Chris Paul is the top five point guard of all time. Luka Doncic is a better point guard than Chris Paul.
Oh,
Fact. I don't
okay.
care.
Okay. We could
I will
get
stand
there.
on that.
We could,
And if that's a hot take, I'm sorry, but like Chris Paul did not average 29 a game for his entire career to start the
which is
first seven
crazy.
years.
Which is a crazy, bro.
The only people who score more points in their career period, and definitely in the playoffs. In the playoffs, it's Michael Jordan. In their careers, it's Wilt Chamberlain and Michael Jordan. And then he's still giving you the same production as far as assists. He's
Yeah.
getting you 9 to 10 a game
And he just
his
entered his
entire
prime.
career.
He just entered his prime.
Right. So like, I don't care what you're talking about. Like, if he doesn't win MVP, we still watch him. Besides his rookie year, go first team All NBA. I don't care. And I saw a stat too. He's had 2 seasons averaging 37 and 7.
Yeah.
The only other person to do that was Michael Jordan. Like, we have to understand what we're watching here. I don't care. That's a top 3 player in the world to me. If number 4 isn't bad, because I do think Wemby has an impact, especially on defense, and just how without him the Spurs are really not that great.
Yeah.
But I understand that, so I'm not mad that when you have Wemby higher, but like the slander, like people are talking about Jalen Brunson, but Luka now.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
Relax.
You know what's crazy?
Relax.
I thought about it the other
Please.
day. I was like, wait, Luca might finish his career as the player with the most All NBA like first team selections without an MVP,
It's very possible, but
just
it's
because
just
of the time he
his
played during.
yeah, because like I said in my video, go to the TikTok, feel me? But you got prime Jokic. Jokic should have won those MVPs, so I'm
Yep.
not mad at it. And then Shea also deserved those MVPs. It was just very bad timing, and then also the teams around him didn't win enough games.
Yep.
Like, and that's not really his fault, but like that's why I say, what kind of production do you want from me? Because it's not just him specifically, like the team it's a team game. You have to win. You have to have a good supporting cast around you to win 60 games. Right now, the Lakers don't have that,
Yep.
and the Mavericks didn't really either. They got hot at the right time. I do think that was a very good team around him, but obviously you saw the next year they still weren't on pace to win 60 games. So it's kind of like he's playing at an MVP level. It's
Yeah.
just the team around him isn't winning enough, and people are like, "Oh, you're the top player. The blame is on you, and you suck at defense." But
Yeah, I agree. I
what
think the
happened?
slander in the recent years has definitely gotten out of hand, and I think we've only seen literally once in his entire career a championship caliber team be built around Luca, and it was built after the trade deadline, and which is why like a lot of people were saying like Nico Harrison's the worst GM ever. No, he's not. He built a championship team in like 2 months. He
He
just
did.
didn't like Luca.
Yeah, that was the trade itself is still dumb, but
Yes, of
you got to
course.
respect him for putting together a championship team. I think that for his career, I'm glad I got to see him play with LeBron. I do think that that's cool to watch. Him being on the Lakers is definitely fun. But for his career, as far as like the accolades of winning an MVP goes, they should have tried to keep building around him in Dallas. So
Yes, I
that's
agree.
unfortunate.
My number three
All
player,
right.
Nikola Jokic. Um,
Wow.
some slander is about to occur. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, here are the positives. Here's the positives. Nikola Jokic is probably the best offensive player in basketball. He led the league in offensive rating. He's the first player in NBA history to lead the league in assists and rebounds. He averaged 28 points per game. He is one of one. He is one of the most arguably the most talented offensive center ever. If you want to say that he's more offensively, talented than Hakeem Olajuwon, sure, go ahead, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's whatever. That is why he's number three. Period. Everyone knows how great Nikola Jokic is. After what I saw in that Timberwolves series, I don't think he can call himself the best player in the world. I don't think anyone should be able to call him the best player in the world. Rudy Gobert, who we've slandered, the media has slandered, that he's a fake DPOY, that those chains are fake. Your chain is fake. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. For years. I wouldn't say made you look pedestrian, but he definitely made you not look like the best player in the world. You could not defeat not just like an injured, a decapitated Timberwolves team. They're missing their best player. Ayo Dosunmu was giving y'all buckets. And it's in large part because A, you just weren't able to create offensively, you just weren't good enough. You weren't. And also, I will attribute, hey, guys like Jamal Murray were inconsistent. But
Which he always is in the
which
playoffs, unless he's playing the Lakers.
yes. But also, you just weren't as good as you needed to be offensively. And defensively, you were awful. You were putrid. You fundamentally cannot be a rim protector. Like at all. Like at all. They have to retool this team. And obviously that's why guys like JaVale McGee, or DeAndre Jordan, when they won their chip, were incredibly important because they could pick up that slack for you. But it really exposed that you, as their primary rim protector, it makes their offense food. Jaden McDaniels, or sorry, makes your defense food. Jaden McDaniels was right, man. They can go at all of y'all at will. And you're one of the main ones. With that, with the way that seemingly, in my opinion, offensively, you have been like kind of shown you can be limited. You can be stopped. There's a way like to limit both not only you as a playmaker, but also you as a scorer. The idea to beat the Nuggets has always been, well, Jokic might get 50, but if you hold him to 8 or 9 assists, you're good. You probably win the game. But now we've seen that you can hold Jokic to 8 or 9 assists and 23 points off of putrid shooting. You're not the guy anymore. I think he should be knocked down for that. I do think that should be a blemish on his, on his legacy as a player. Don't get me wrong, you're still top 3. You're still in the best player in the world conversation. But I don't think you're the guy anymore.
That's fair. I think you made all valid points. So I don't think any of that is really crazy. Why I still have him number 2,
Yeah.
just because. Well, actually, I'll wait for that. You are right, because if you were the best player in the world, like imagine if LeBron,
Yep.
in his prime,
Yep.
lost in the first round to a Timberwolves team where Ant was hurt, Sumu got hurt, I said Donovan, Dante DiVincenzo popped his Achilles.
Yep.
Like, you got to win the series. That is fact. I agree with that completely. Now, people are going to make excuses and say, like, oh, Jamal Murray, he didn't play well. The team around him isn't that good. It, it matters, but it doesn't at the same time. If you're the best player, like, if you're the player you say you are, you're supposed to at least win in the first round. He is now won a chip and has not made it to even the conference finals since that happened,
Yep.
which shows that that series versus the Lakers was a fluke. I'm playing, but I'm trolling. I'm trolling. But they had a great run then that year, of course. But I have him number 3. I mean number 2, just because he's still the offensive engine.
Yep.
Very bad on defense. He's like Luka, but we've never seen a player lead the league in rebounds and assists. Like besides Luka, I would say he's the best passer in the league, probably over him.
Yep.
And I think that him running your offense is definitely still very good. Now, I do think Jamal Murray, while he did have his best season of his career, didn't play well in the playoffs at all.
Yep.
And I think really, if he had a better number 2 or somebody different, I think the Nuggets would be a little bit better. But a lot of it just rests on his shoulders, and so you can't really. I wouldn't say fault him a ton, like as far as rankings go. Of course, he still should have won that series. I fully, wholeheartedly agree with that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think what we've seen from him as a player, especially these last 5 years, there aren't many players who have done better, especially at the center position.
Yeah.
That at like peak for peak, when it's all said and done, like you're gonna have. I mean, I think Shaq had a better peak, of course, those years with Kobe, the three-peat years
Yeah.
and Hakeem Olajuwon, you can argue, but there aren't many big men that you could say like when you put out their resume and say this is what they did. I mean, he almost won 4 MVPs, and you could argue like last year his bet was his best season. He's borderline. If he has averaged a triple double pretty much the last 2 years, and you could say that season was better than his previous MVP seasons. So only LeBron currently has 4 MVPs. And something like that, I feel like you do have to respect. But I'm not mad at you for saying that he's number 3. I just know that like in years past, and even now, like when you watch the Nuggets play, like he's still almost inevitable. Maybe not in the playoffs, but like he's gonna make the right pass or make the right play, and usually it works out in their favor. It just they didn't have that same juice as you thought they would in the playoffs. I definitely thought they were gonna beat the. I thought they were gonna beat the Timberwolves. I'm glad they didn't, but I
Yeah.
thought they were gonna win that series.
I thought it was gonna happen too. And don't get me wrong, I'm not. Although my tone is harsh, he only moved down a spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's. I'm not saying that like he's like not a top 10 or not a top 5 player. He's 3. But again, you are right. If LeBron or not even LeBron, if someone just comparatively to that greatness, if Prime KD did this, we'd be on him. If Prime Curry did this, we'd be on him. We'd be
100%.
You know what I'm saying? We be on these guys, and I think that he does deserve. And although I think that there's some issues with this team's construction, I don't think there's enough athleticism on this court. I don't think Jamal Murray played good enough. They're gonna have to move some pieces off this team. But also, you're the third seed. You're favored in the series, and you are allegedly, not by my belief, or at least at the time I believe, the best player in the world. I think you're supposed to get that done. You're supposed to. You didn't, especially considering that they weren't healthy. You're supposed to get that done. So,
100%. Man, there's no excuse for that. That was bad. If you're the best player in the world, you got to get it done, man.
yeah,
Because they would have killed LeBron or KD for that.
yeah,
That would have, and you know why they didn't do that? Partially because he's from Europe, but
yeah,
yeah, and he does acts like he doesn't care about basketball. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well, my two spot, if you haven't noticed, it's the guy, my favorite player in basketball, Victor Wembanyama. I think that this postseason, I feel as if some people are overreacting to what we saw this postseason. In terms of negativity, I do think there were overreactions on both sides. I think a lot of people were rushing to say that Wemby was the best player in the world. Don't get me wrong. After his performance in Game One against OKC, I was pretty close to saying that he was the best player in the world. But there's stuff. There's stuff. Let's talk about the good stuff. Defensively, he's the best defender in the world by a wide margin. He's probably going to go down as one of the, if not the greatest defender of all time. That's not a prediction. That's not me being, I guess, reactionary. That's a fact. He's a unanimous defensive player of the year. He led the league in defensive rating, was top 10 in offensive rating, and I do believe that he's a top 10 offensive player in basketball. Still, even with how raw he is as a talent, I still think due to his impact, he's a top 10 player in basketball. In the playoffs, we saw that although, yes, in crunch time, he doesn't have a move yet. We saw multiple performances in the playoffs that shows that he is kind of built for this. In his first playoff game, he drops 38 points. Obviously, against the Timberwolves, he goes a game in which he has 15 blocks. And against the Thunder, he has multiple 30-point games. I think he averaged, 27 points per game, over 50% from the field and 40% from three. Everyone knows what he did in Game One. Everyone knows about the half-court heave he had. Everyone knows that, he's that good as a player. I think that does get him the right to be the second best player in the world. But he's not the best because he is extremely raw as an offensive talent. Simple as that. As an offensive talent, he doesn't have a move yet. He doesn't have... and part of it is due to Mitch Johnson's coaching. They don't really run sets for Wemby. So Wemby hasn't necessarily even been given an opportunity to develop an offensive bag for himself that is that deep. But if Wemby is not catching a lob, he is roaming around the paint for three. That is an issue. He needs to develop...
that is true.
That is an issue. He needs to develop a post-game, a mid-range shot, something that you can, as Austin said, when your team needs a bucket, you can give it to him at will. He's the face of the league. He is the guy today, in terms of like who people will think about when they think about the NBA today. He is that guy, and he's going to be the best player in the world. He is. Maybe next year. Maybe hell. Last year, I had him at the end of the season, I think at 6, he jumped to my second spot. He jumped 4 spots. He's that good. But he has a lot of maturing to do still as a player, specifically on the offensive end. I think because of that, he's not number one. So shout out to Wemby. I think he had a terrific third season. I think he should have been second in MVP voting. I do think his season is more impressive than Jokic's. Don't get me wrong, I think Jokic's stats obviously favor him. They were incredible, but also at the same time, Spurs didn't make the playoffs last year. They won over 60 games, were the second seed and made it to the finals. Obviously, the playoff stuff doesn't count in terms of MVP voting, but yeah, he was that great. So, hey man, second best player in the world in my opinion.
I'm not mad at that. I think you already heard my, I guess, gripes. I wouldn't even call it like anything bad.
Yeah.
It's just production wise, if you look at the box score, yes, he's always going to produce at a certain level. I think he can get more consistent though in the offensive end. And you do make a good point. Mitch Johnson does not run a lot of sets for them. I think Mitch Johnson is a good coach for getting the team together and I guess motivating them to do to get together and how they played this year, and especially on the defensive end. However, you made a good point. Where the offense can get very stagnant. The ball can get very sticky, especially like when Fox was in the finals and he's taking too many shots. He's like De'Aaron Fox will still have the ball at the end of the game. You gotta go lean onto the hot hand, and he never did that. I think at his peak, Wemby can be one of the best offensive players, especially like if he is still consistent with his shot, of course, with his mid range, and just has something that he can go to when it's like crunch time. Okay, I'm gonna go score. He can do that. But there were a lot of times where he's just trying to lean open and call for the ball or get a lob or something like that. So I do agree with that. But still a very good player. Just more consistency. If he's consistent on offense, where he's like, because if he gets you, he was already averaging 25 a game.
Mm.
If he's getting, and like some of that is definitely off of free throws. They're gonna foul him anyway.
Yeah, of course.
If it's a little bit more, like it goes from 25 to 27. That 27 could very well turn into 30, just because of how they play him and how his whistle is. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's crazy to say he'll be the top player in the world. He could be very well at the end of next season.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. But we have the same number one because we both haven't talked about him yet.
Yep.
Same number one is that guy in Oklahoma City, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yep.
Now, we do give him a lot of flack for
You do.
flopping and all that. I do, because you shouldn't be on the ground, man. I mean, getting to the line and drawing fouls is a skill. So I'll never be mad at the amount of times you get to the line. I do get mad when you just fall and nobody touches you. You got to relax with that. But either way, as a scorer, he's still very, very good. Like I've said this time and time again, you can watch games where OKC needs somebody to go score, and Shea does it. You saw in Game 7, he was not going to be the reason they lost.
Yep.
35 and 9, and he's a better passer and better playmaker than he actually gets credit for.
Yep.
You saw in that San Antonio series, he didn't shoot well, but I'm pretty sure he averaged like 8 or 9 assists because there were
Yep.
many games where he was putting the ball in the right guy's hands, making the right play. And even though the double team slowed him from scoring, it wasn't slowing him down as far as giving his teammates opportunities. It was just guys weren't hitting their shots. And if they were, they won those games. Guys like Lou Dort taking 9 threes in a game. That's
Yeah.
how you lose. So I think Shea is definitely still one of the best player in the world. You saw how he did. He's been playing the last couple of years. At worst, it's 35 and 5. At its best, it could be 33 a game.
Yep.
This year was like 30. I'm rounding. We can say 32. And it's very efficient as well. It's borderline 50, 40, 90. It's not
Yeah.
there, but
Yeah.
it's very close to it. And I just think he's, as a guard, definitely one of the most complete players in the league. Like you put him on your team, he's gonna produce. And I think because he has a very, very good team around him, they're gonna be very good for years to come. And yeah, I think what's understood doesn't have to be said. I feel like we saw what he did. It wasn't like they lost to San Antonio, but it wasn't like he had a stinker or anything like
Yeah.
that. There were some bad games for sure, but like a bad game from Shea is still like 25. He could shoot bad and still end up even with 30. He said it himself. He had 32. I think it was game 5.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was game 5. He had 32. Still shot poorly. It didn't matter. 32 was 32.
Yeah.
And he's still getting 7 or 8 assists. He's not going to do that in the regular season because he doesn't have to and doesn't face that type of coverage. But like we know that he has that in his bag.
Yeah.
So Any type of way you want him to score, he can. Anything you want to do on a basketball court, you can really do. So, he's my number one player.
Yeah, he's mine. I wrote an article about it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's really simple. I do think the way you go out in the playoffs matters. I do think it matters. And the way he went out, as you know, Austin said, he was gonna say, "This is not my fault. I am not the reason why we lost the series. The reason why we lose this series will not be because I wasn't good enough. I was 35-9. You know what I'm saying? I think he's the best scorer in the league. I think by a decent margin too. I think a lot of people don't realize that I think he's actually gotten better since last year. I think he's been more efficient. I think he's a better 3-point shooter. I think this year he was top five in offensive rating, top 10 in defensive rating, led the league in net rating. You know, like he's obviously led OKC to the first seed again. You know, for what was it, with the third or fourth time in third time in three
Third
years.
time in a row. Third
Like
time in a
he
row.
is, yeah, he's that great. I do have concerns about his game going forward. I do. I think again, he doesn't have a level of athleticism that guys like Anthony Edwards can rely on. So it really is bag work the entire time, which is like impressive. It's impressive that he can do that at this level, at this efficiency. But I do worry about, you know, when you face more physical guards like a Stephon Castle, like a Dylan Harper, you know, how will you still get yours? And in Game 7, he kind of showed I can still get mine. So yeah, man, I still think he's the best player in the world. Um, I wish people gave him the credit that he deserves. Yes, the flopping is annoying. Falling to the ground is annoying. It's not aesthetically pleasing all the time. But man, oh man, you know, he has one of the greatest guard peaks of all time. Some people believe, if I'm not mistaken, Austin has said that he believes if J Dub and AJ Mitchell you know, don't get injured, this team goes back to back. Which
AJ
so
really, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, but
hmm?
healthy Jada. I think if J-Dub is fully healthy, I do think they win. AJ Mitchell, he was getting strapped, I will say. Game one and
Yeah.
game two, yeah, he wasn't doing anything. So I think they could have won if he played.
If you know, and basically, if J Dub is fully healthy, Shea has probably the greatest guard peak in modern basketball. So
I'm glad they didn't. He would have been in some crazy. I mean, he's already in crazy conversations just because he won two MVPs, but it would have been even like nastier with two MVPs, two Finals MVPs, two
back to back.
championships in a row.
The craziest I would have
Back
got
to
with that conversation is that he's like better than KD. That's all I would have said. Like, yeah, he better than KD all the time. A lot of people would get crazy, like, oh yeah, he better than Kobe. Wait, wait, wait.
back.
But KD, yeah, you might got that, bro. I can't lie to you.
He's definitely a better Thunder player than KD.
Yeah, he's the greatest Thunder of all time. You know,
Mm, I don't know. That depends on how you quantify it. Are you going off of talent or are you going off of accolades?
I think
And like,
greatness is I think when it comes to greatness, it's like a mix of both. I think you do have to account for talent, obviously. I think that's why like Jordan is so high, right? But also Jordan kind of has the perfect NBA career. So
yeah,
yeah, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, All Defender, all NBA, Finals, MVP. You know what I'm saying? Like it's whatever. So
yeah, I do agree. Nobody gets to that. Nobody's had it like that. Where it's
yeah,
dominant and I'm gonna say lucky, but very like everything worked out for him. And once 1990 hit, everything worked out for him.
yep.
That was that's crazy to even think of because nobody's gonna have that type of luck. Maybe
It's hard. It's
I
hard,
don't
man.
see Wemby doing it. I would have said Wemby would have if they won the chip, but like they didn't. So like you don't know if they're gonna get back.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Whether and I think it's just hard. I think honestly one of my things that with Shea is like that's really impressive, like that he stayed healthy for the past 2 years. Like I think
Yeah,
like whoever his trainer is, like you deserve to get paid a lot of money. Consider like the other guards like Luca, we saw Ant go down this year. The fact that you've remained healthy and you've been able to consistently perform at your best, that really is impressive. J Dub, link up with his trainer, bro. You gotta lock in a sign, bro. You gotta do
Facts.
something different,
His hamstrings are made of paper mache, bro,
bro. You gotta lock in, bro.
or
So
something. He'll break his hand or something. He's gotten hurt. I think borderline every year. It just hasn't been that long.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like he got his money though, so he's straight.
But that was our top 10, everyone. That was our top 10 players in basketball.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And yeah, I mean, Trey is number one for both of us. So
Yeah.
we have a decent, about half of them we agreed for, more at the top than the bottom, or it
Yeah,
was,
yeah. I think the top five are pretty like consensus. Unless you put
yeah,
Jalen Brunson there. Yeah.
yeah, we're not doing that here.
Yeah, yeah.
But thank you for tuning into the breakdown. It's been fun. I'm Austin Johnson,
I'm Drew Covington.
and tune in to our next episode. You'll just wait on it.